Okay, assalamualaikum and good afternoon. Let's log into our eLearn. Log in. Select ESA 112 subject. Scroll down to week 6. Click this CATIA assembly and drafting workbench folder. Scroll down. Hide this. Click to assembly design workshop 1. After the file has been downloaded, open the files. So we will do our workshop about this engines. Let's go to next page. You need to select start assembly design to create a new assembly document. Okay, let's open CATIA software. If any workbench opens, it's advised for you to close it. Next, go to start, mechanical design, select assembly design. Okay, so we can see here our tools icons are scattered. Let's organize them by going to tools, customize. I put it at the center. Go to toolbars, click restore all contents and restore positions. Close. I will put this at the side. Okay, so next step, select product 1 using mouse button 3 and select properties. Select the product tab and rename assembly to 4-valve engine. So click product 1, right click, go to properties, change the product number into 4-valve engine. Click OK. So it will automatically change the history tree for this product to 4-valve engine. Next page, to add parts for the assembly, select tool assist component and then select 4-valve engine on top of the part 3. Control select all part documents, engine block, piston, pin, conrod and crankshaft and select open. Before we continue to this step, let's download the files. Go to e-learning. So I have prepared this folder. Expand and click conrod, click crankshaft, click engine block 4-cylinder, click pin, click piston. So this should be downloaded into your PC. Let's look in the download folder. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in download file. So let's cut this and put it in our desktop. So I cut, click desktop, I paste it here. Okay, so let's go to CATIA V5, select this icon, existing component, and desktop. If your Windows is not automatically open like this, let me redo this. So you need to select this top branch for above engine and then click existing component. Okay, so we can browse to desktop, or we also can click existing component, so nothing is appears. Then we read at the top left, select component into which the existing component will be inserted. So we click for above engine. So the computer understand that we want to insert the parts into the branch. Next, go to desktop, select the files. I'm clicking shift to select all, click open. So it is now inserted. Let's return to our workbook tutorials. Select tool, we go to number 2, select tool, fix component and part engine block. Now engine block is locked to screen. Other parts can be moved around as engine block always stays freeze. So in this step, we want to lock our engine block. So this is engine block. So let's find our tools. It's like an anchor icons. If there is no, cannot find it, take the icon out from the toolbar list. So we can see this is our fixed component. So we'll click fixed component, and either we can click here or we also can click here. So now I click to the engine block. Okay, so it is now fixed in the screen. Number 3, select tool manipulation and choose track along x-axis and y-axis, x and y, to separate other parts from the body or the engine block. Now defining constraint to the rest of the part is much easier as there is more space between parts. So what I want to do is I want to move the objects. So this is manipulation. Click. So there are few icons here, x, y and z. Dragging along this axis will move the parts, while this one is dragging along xy plane, yz plane and xz plane, while this is dragging around the x-axis. So let's click x-axis and we move this piston, and we will move to x-axis, y-axis, z-axis. Okay, click OK. Next, when all the parts are separated from engine block, select tool coincident constraint and select the round long surface of parts, crankshaft and crankshaft placement. Center axis become now active. So you want to select this area and this area. So after we click coincident constraint, it should show this axis. Let's return to our CATIA V5. So let's click coincident constraint. We can click here, do not prompt in the future. Click close. So while the coincident constraint icon is active, hover your mouse to this cylindrical shapes. Make sure we are focusing or hovering our mouse on the cylindrical shape. Click, and then you want to have another axis on this cylindrical shape. Click. So what we can see now, we have two coincident constraints and connected. Next, this is what we can see the results after we select two of this part together. Coincident constraint between pass engine block and crankshaft has been now made. So CATIA V5 does not update the screen because it's often easier to define all the constraints before screen update. Therefore, if you want, you can update the screen with update all button at the lower right corner of the screen. So we need to find this icon. Okay, so our icon is here, but it is dim. Why? Because our constraint constraint is already in its line. Okay, so we don't need to click. But let's say if our cylindrical is not in line, let's move this to X. Clicking OK. So this update all icon will colored, so we can click so that the coincident constraint is now activate and update. So it has moved to its positions. Let's continue. Step number 4. Select tool offset constraint and choose shoulder surface of crankshaft and engine block outer side. Insert 0 mm offset in the offset box. At the end, press update all button again. So we will select this area and this area. So we need to click offset constraint, select this area. If you cannot select it, you need to zoom in. Click here and click here. A window will appear. So we need to insert the offset. As mentioned in the PDF file, we need to select 0. Click OK. So you can see that it has set the offset constraint is 0 between this surface and this surface, and you can see that the icon is not updated, so we can select update. So now this crankshaft has moved into the engine block. I put this at the center. Continue. You can see that it is now moved inside the engine block. Now we want to constrain between piston and engine block. You can apply coincident constraint. Okay, so this is not coincident constraint, this is offset. So offset icon. So actually you need to select coincident constraint between this piston axis and this hollow area. So we need to select coincident constraint, select this area, so automatically a line will show, and this area. Okay, so then we click update. So it is now clashing here, so we need to move it so that it's easier for us to see. So I will move it on Z axis by clicking this piston and dragging on to the top. Click OK to save changes.